The second day of the 10 days nationwide planned protest, we started yesterday and is expected to be a peaceful process, turned out to be violent in some states, despite appeals from various groups and government to the protesters. But from the reported happenings from yesterday's mayhem, it is obvious that the supposedly peaceful protest has taken a different dimension, as hoodlums are said to have hijacked and taken advantage of the peaceful protests in a bid to vandalize, loot shops and houses in some parts of the country. With the situation now, what are the best ways to resolve these issues to avoid further loss and return normalcy to states? The focus for tonight's discussion is nationwide protests second day and how best to douse the tension. I am Nina Daniels. Welcome to Nigeria Today. Joining us in the studio tonight to discuss nationwide protests, day 2, dousing tension, is Dr. George Abakahia. He is Managing Director, Intra Global Ventures, Media and Capacity Development Consultant. He is also a public affairs analyst. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
And also Obin Nawaka, Director General, Committee of Youth on Mobilization and Sensitization, is right here to make inputs. Thank you too for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, gentlemen, it's been 2 days. 2 hectic days for the country, for everyone. There's been loss of peace on both sides of the divide. So let's get to look at exactly what today, day 2, what was it like?
Thank you again for having me. Well, I think naturally, protest is part and parcel of the democratic system. And at the same time, civil liberty, in other words, protection of innocent civilians, as well as lives and property, is part and parcel of the democratic system as well. Now, yesterday and today, it's been violence all through. In Kano State, Yobe State, Niger State, is a very awful act what Nigerians saw happened. You know, what we now found out is that the protest has now been divided into 2. We have the real protesters, and now we have hoodlums who has now hijacked the protest. And that is wrong. You see, when we talk about protest, from the very beginning, I've always talked about dialogue. Dialogue is the way to go to resolve all these situations. Because protest in Nigeria is pretty problematic. We've had protests in this country before the Civil War in 1965 in Western region. It was marred by violence. From 1965, we had another one in 1978, when I was even in secondary school, I believe. When, during the Ali Must Go, you remember? When they raised the fees of the universities, and there was protest, which also led to death and burning of government properties. From that time, we came over to 1989 during the Babangida regime, you know, when Nigerians protested vehemently in respect of the structural adjustment program, which led to series of deaths. You know, more very recent one is the NSAS, which just happened a couple of years ago, which also led to death. The point I'm trying to make is this: there's nothing wrong with protest, but it has to be peaceful. And in most cases, protest has been overtaken by hoodlums whose main objective is to loot, is to maim people, cause mayhem. And that is what we are seeing. And that is very wrong.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. George. Let me get to Chief Obinna. What do we do now to end this? We're looking at Dousing detention, this situation. What do you think we should do? I mean, you're a youth leader, you know, you are in line with whatever the issue is. How do we end it? It's been 2 days. Do you think it's enough?
Yeah, thank you very much. For me, it's naturally coming to an end because yesterday we were on the streets. We've been engaging the protesters since yesterday. Even today, the same thing. And if you can see from the movement of yesterday and today, it has reduced in the sense that we cannot experience peace today compared to yesterday. Now, just like my colleague said, Dr. George said, protests we have taken two different dimensions, you understand? In fact, his own is said about 2 categories of protesters. But to me, it's 3. We have the anti-protest, we have the real protesters, and we have the one that are also being hijacked, not by hoodlums alone, but by political gladiators, opposition, and political actors. So we have some people behind that is fueling this crisis as well. So it's an opportunity. And again, when it comes to issue of protest, so we never expected we never expect it to be completely peaceful. You know why I say so? Because something triggered those actions. What triggered those actions? According to the protesters, because we engaged them before now. They talked about hunger. They talked about unemployment. They talked about poor governance in the grassroots level. So now, since yesterday, we've been engaging them. And why you see this tension have reduced today is because of people like us, like-minded political actors, people also celebrities and co. If you look at the engagement from a town hall meeting, from a Minister of Youth Development, if you look at the engagement by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, if you look at the engagement of Senator George Akuma, the Secretary of the Government of Federation, if you look at some celebrities like Ambassador King Toto Dike, who are also be posting on the social media, calling on the protesters to desist from violent protests. So, and people like us who are also being on the field, because these people that are involving into this act, they know us, we know them. We cannot ask them to stop the onset. The only thing we can do is to dialogue with them, bring them together, tell them that, yeah, the government is taking a proactive step to address most of these challenges. And you know, the challenges we are talking about, the government is also working towards it. And that is the reasons why the tension have reduced today, because we engage them. If I can bring my phone now and show you the pictures, the videos, and also what we have been also showing on the social media, you will now come to realize that we have done excellent well. My previous interview here and other stations, I always rise to dress as an official man. But since this protest started, I cannot dress like a big man any longer. I dress like them. Even today when I was coming out, they saw me. Some of them, they stopped me on the way while driving. They said, who is this person? One of them said, it's our leader. He's also part of us. It's okay, but it's with the government. However, he's also one of those people pushing for government to listen to their plight attentively. And these things that the young people are agitating for, the government is also putting them into consideration, working towards it. But the challenge is that, are we taking the message to the grassroots? And the people that are causing the violence on the street, they are not on social media. So just like I was saying since yesterday when I was engaging them, there is no youth body, there is no women body that have complete authority or control over women in this country, over youth in this country. The only thing we can do as youth leaders, as women leaders, is to do what? To engage them, to come down to their level of understanding, to sit with them, to dine with them.
Okay.
So that is why you see the tension has done what? Has reduced today.
Okay, I will get back to you. Dr. George, you just heard Chief Obinna establish that what we need to do is to take the message to the grassroots as one of the means of dousing this tension. So do you agree with that position?
Well, I agree with him. Communication is key. That's why I talked about dialogue earlier. Because if you see what is happening, Nigeria is losing close to 400 billion on daily basis with this protest going on. Yesterday and today, we've lost almost 800 billion naira. You know, so I know that the protest is all about hunger, is all about this, is all about unemployment. But we also have to, you know, take into consideration that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing his best, you know, to contain all these issues. You know, okay, look at, for example, you know, the minimum wage has been passed of 70,000 naira. Look at the student loan, which has already started. About 850 million naira has gone into the student loan program. And some students have already, you know, taken advantage of that. You know, the government is trying. What the government needs is a little bit more time. We understand that things are pretty hard, you know, probably because of the policies that the government undertook when it came in. But these policies are pretty necessary policies that will in the long run, you know, lead to economic improvement in this country.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. George. Jifobina, these 2 days, it's not been easy. Petty traders, artisans, market women, all these people that depend on their daily, food, to eat and feed their families. It's been hell. Like, it's been 2 days of hell. What do you think should be done at this moment? I mean, first of all, do you think they've gotten the government ear by these 2 days of action? Then, secondly, what do we do to stop these sufferings of these people at their rates, at their level? Like, they're not aware, it's not their business. Yes, they are suffering, but you have moved out there, you have demonstrated for 2 days. What do we do to end this now?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm an economist by study, you understand? See, people, individual, or the people at the grassroots level, it will be very difficult for them to survive when we are facing, one, inflation, when we are facing devaluation. We're also facing high level of what? Insecurity and or governance. So let me tell you something. Mr. President is bringing up good policies that is going to help Nigerians. But some of those policies will do what? Will take time. Mr. President needs to do what? To work on his cabinet. Why does it to work on his way? There's so many announcements that Mr. President will do that is very good to improve the well-being of the masses. But what now happened is the implementation. Even if the implementation is there, what about the monetary? Now, price control system, we are having that challenge in this country. If they say, yeah, they want to sell this product for 10 naira or 15 naira, you will see some marketers, they will just inflate it. And the people at the end of affair, they will just keep quiet because, one, it doesn't concern them, they don't suffer. And what these people are talking about is just for them to survive, the means of surviving. The conducive environment whereby they can strive and do what? Contribute their own quota to national development. The border needs to be open. Secondly, the price control. They need to do something about it. Just look at 2 days ago, if I read a circular from the Ministry of Special Duty and Intergovernmental Affairs, they said that they are going to sell a bag of rice for so amount. A circular was pasted in the ministry's office. Then what happened today? Where are those rice being sold? Can people access it? Now, the president has also approved us, giving us the opportunity to have access to local government fund through the local government financial autonomy. Now we have local government autonomy, but those autonomy does not have political autonomy. Those autonomy just have financial autonomy in the sense that the money from the Federal Allocation Committee will go straight to the local government. But do you know that even the government in the states can also influence those money if we don't have what? Political economy. What is political economy? Political economy is whereby the INEC will be allowed to conduct the elections in the local government, just like we have in the Federal Capital Territory. If Mr. President, who is a grassroots person, the way they override the state government by implementing and signing into law the local government autonomy, they should also use that same means to do what? To ensure there is political economy. And I thank God that the INEC have come out to say they have the manpower to conduct this election. If those things is being done, let me tell you, the young people like us, they will have the competence, they will have the morals, they will also have deployed their resources and also their manpower to make sure that they go back to their grassroots to do what? To participate in good governance and to monitor those political leaders, the local government. Why are we having this crisis in the center? Because the grassroots level is not being properly monitored. The grassroots level, there's no development. And the only way we can ensure development and security is whereby when the local government have both financial and political. Don't let the unnecessary rural and urban migration, it is the cause of the protests that we are seeing today. And I'm sure that, Mr. President, the government of the day, they are going to see today. We had a consultative platform with the young people through the various groups. And one of the things they've outlined that is biting them practically is what? The poor governance in the grassroots level. So when those things be put into place, I want to tell you that so many even contractors that we have here in Abuja, they will go back to the local government to work.
Okay, well, points were taken to vote in now. At least you are still going to tell me whether we've had enough of this protests, whether we should end it. You're still going to tell me that because you have not. Okay, let me come to Dr. George. Well, earlier today, the CDS, Chief of Defense Staff, had a press briefing where he, warned everyone to watch their backs and make sure that, if you're doing anything out of place, they will be handled. Do you think this situation is more than the police?
Well, in protests of this nature, I think it's the duty of the police to be able to keep calm and, take care of, the protesters. But at some point, when it gets out of hand, then the military might not come in. Have you forgotten that even in overseas countries, when there are riots and protests, and at some point, if the police cannot handle it, they will call the National Guard, which is similar to our military. They will call the National Guard to follow, to enforce the rule of law. But I think at this point, the police can still handle the situation.
Okay. Then my second question, these people, like, your neighbors, those are the same very people that go out there to protest. Now, they've done 2 days. It's okay. How do we begin to talk to them, advocate that we end this? What are the modalities of, reaching each and everyone to make sure that, okay, we've done enough, let's end this, and now watch government's reaction?
I believe my colleague here has made that point. I think it's very, very important at this point for us to halt this protest. The government of the day has had them. The president is a pretty compassionate, individual and magnanimous. He has had them, and he's working towards, fulfilling, all their grievances. That's exactly what he's working on, by some of the areas, even the local government financial autonomy that was passed by the National Assembly. After all, he's the very first president in the history of this country to work on that through his Attorney General. So the president has good ideas, and he has the interest of Nigerians at heart. What he requires at this point, in my perspective, is patience. The leadership of the protest, it's high time they come to dialogue. Let them dialogue with the government. Protest would not solve the problem. Dialogue, peace is what Nigeria needs at this time.
Thank you so much, Dr. George. And let me share my experience with you yesterday when I was coming to work. Right before me, a gentleman who happened to be a security officer but wasn't dressed in uniform got his car like scattered into pieces. Some of these hoodlums, you know, who have now infiltrated the protest right before me, used heavy metals and scattered the man, even when the man had an olive branch in his car. I mean, scattered front and back. And that's just one out of a lot of people yesterday. And that feeling of witnessing that myself has, you know, I'm still feeling the trauma. I can imagine what a lot of other people out there like me are feeling right now. By the time we start counting our losses in just 2 days, will you be happy that you have achieved? Is that, in fact, what do they even want to achieve? Please tell me.
I think first and foremost, what the protesters want to achieve is what? For the government to give them what? Their attention. Which governments have given attention to them? Why did I say attention? Before the protest, it became a national discussion, both from the states, the National Assembly, the presidency, and so many critical stakeholders. It became a national discussion. That is what number one, attention. Then number two is that the protest, even in the process.
But they've gotten the attention because before they strike, government started rolling out palliatives.
No, I understand. You see, that is the problem we are talking about. The palliative you're talking about. It is sometimes those things does not solve the problems completely, because even the palliatives will not get to every person. But if a policy that is being put in place can be quickly implemented, it will get to everybody. And you know, just like you analyze, you said somebody's car was vandalized. Maybe it depends on how the person dressed. If my colleague had dressed like this, and yesterday or today I'm moving around where this protester, they will mop him, because they will see that one is not looking like a youth.
Wearing a shirt.
No, see, I'm still talking. Number one is not a youth. Number two is dressing like a big man. But look at me. Look at the way I dress. Immediately they saw me, they went to mop at me. I said no. One of them that signal, I said, we know him is a youth leader. He has been advocating for peaceful protest. And do you know that since yesterday till today, if you go to my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, and even on my WhatsApp status, I've been writing about peaceful protests. Don't take laws into your hand. I've been posting about that. Even about 3 or 4 people from the north, very strong people, they contacted me. Comrade, are you saying we should back up from the protest? I say no. People don't need to involve in the protest because the protest has been what? Has been hijacked. You understand? And since yesterday, we've been on the streets engaging people. If not because of the intervention of youth leaders like us who are pro-government, who understand the policies that the federal government has put into place, just like you rightly mentioned about a student loan. Student loan give birth to what? Financial support to the youth or to the student. You also give room for also what? Administrative empowerment and employment for some people. Today now, because of the student loan, Mr. President established what they call NEFON. And in that NEFON, we have people who are also managing it. In the course of managing it, are they not gainfully employed? They are gainfully employed. So we have now, the president have also approved 150 billion naira for what? Nigerian Youth Investment Fund. In the last administration, it was 75 billion naira. All those things has to do with empowerment opportunity for young people and also administrative opportunity for some other people who are also politically inclined. So if you look at all these policies that Mr. President have put into play, the young people are aware. But you know what? It's not everybody that are going to school. Even when I got admission, my parents, they were crying. Is there any money to send Obina to school? So some people don't have access to that education, even to that student loan. So what we are trying to say is that if this message can get to the people at the grassroots, transmitted in different languages, the protest will not even be like this.
Okay, I will come to you for your final words because of time.
In respect of the violence you talked about.
Yeah, exactly, Judge.
You see, protest. You know, I think section 40, 41, 42 of the Nigerian Constitution talked about this.
Okay.
Peaceful protest is required. It's not violent.
Okay.
And whenever you have protests in Nigeria, it's hijacked by people. They go and loot everywhere.
Okay,
people.
Dr. George, you have established the fact. The youth got angry. They came out. They demonstrated. they proved their point, and in the process, lives were lost, properties vandalized, and now Nigeria, we are counting losses. Now that we have achieved all of that, and government too have got, it's up and doing, trying to provide all they're asking for. What's your final word? What's your advice?
Truly, I believe at this point, considering what has happened in the past 2 days, I want to truly call on all Nigerians, irrespective of your political, ethnic, religious leaning. I think it's time for us to really come together. We really need to, search our conscience at this point in our Nigerian democracy and reach out to one another. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And look for a way to rededicate ourselves to democratic ideas,
Okay.
Of peace, tolerance, respect for the constituted authority.
Okay. Thank you so much for your perspectives and analysis, and we hope that the situation gets to be addressed soonest. Let me thank you, Chief Obinawaka, Director General, Committee of Youth on Mobilization and Sensitization. Thank you for your time today. Thank you so much. And to you, Dr. George Abakahe, Managing Director, Intra Global Ventures, Media and Capacity Development Consultant, and also a Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you so much for your contributions today, sir.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. And to you, our viewer, thank you so much for always being part of this program. Remember, Nigeria Today is weekdays at 7:30 p.m. on NTNS 24. You can also watch a repeat at 10 o'clock in the night, as well as other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am Mina Daniels. Stay safe out there, and bye for now.